Good morning, Mackinac race fans. I'm Dobbs Davis, here with your Sunday morning race analysis show. This is brought to you by Van Tol and Vitelli Insurance Group and LCS Record Retrieval. I also want to recognize our presenting sponsor for the race, National Fleet Services. This is going to be an interesting show because I think that this is going to be the best conditions that we're going to see for this race fleet, and we'll show you why. Now, what I'd like to do is, as you can see, I've clicked on to the website. I am going to refresh this and then show you a few tricks on how to navigate this system. Sometimes it's easy to get lost. There's a lot of different tools here, so I'm going to give you my little tour of how to navigate this. First, I just refreshed. This is what the screen looks like when you refresh. I'm working in a specific window in order to do this video. So in order to scroll around, I'm using two fingers on my touchpad, as shown in the instructions here. Now, having done that, though, what you do lose is this bar up here that has a lot of really useful commands. So I want to try to keep that within view. First, I'm going to take that back. So these, by default, this comes out, this menu, and it shows all the teams, and we'll get to that in a moment. There's a trick I want to show you there. But if you ever get lost in navigating around, this little flag here, zoom to race area, is a really good one to have because that brings you back to center. When you're certainly for me and maybe others, when scrolling around, you get a little bit lost, and you can find the map somewhere in Dubai or someplace else in the world. If you ever get lost like that, just push that zoom to race area button there, and that'll bring you back. A couple of other things that I think are useful tools. This, by default, this one stays on. That's the red course area graphic that kind of reminds you where the run lines are and where the boats are going, and gives you that it's not a fence, but it's just gives you a guide on where everybody is. Another useful one is this one here, toggle tracks. This shows you, as you can see, what the tracks were in the history of where the boats were on the course. I think that's a bit useful because it shows the trails of how they've played the course. And then, of course, this one here is wind data, and I always like to put on the windy option because that gives us those cool graphics and colors and wind vectors to show what the fleet has out there, and then, as we'll see in a moment, what they may be encountering coming up in the next several hours. Okay, so this is where we are. You can see nearly everybody is past the thumb of the shoreline of Lake Michigan, and are moving along okay. So, for example, if I'm going to zoom in one more level. There we go, and scroll over. So, leading the pack, of course, is the largest, fastest monohull in the fleet is Maverick. This is a canning keel carbon fiber Alan Andrews design boat that is chugging along at 13.8 knots. While that's really an impressive speed, this boat's capable of that in 12 knots of wind. Oh, they just jumped a new sked. This updates, by the way, every 15 minutes. So we've just passed that, and they've updated, slowing down a little bit. Actually, I looked at this about half an hour ago or so, and they were at 14 knots. But strong angle. They'll be making a fast approach into the final top of the course. My guess is that they're at that speed. They've got probably a reaching headsail or an A3 spinnaker, and really going fast. The others in the lead up here, Mockingbird is Chris Duhan's TP52. Locally, these sailed in the lakes. They're known as the GL52s, Great Lakes 52s, as a class. All these guys here are in that class, and they're all fighting hard. They're not very far away from each other. Two interesting camps here. We have Bob Hughes' Heartbreaker, They're going along just fine, probably jib reaching 10.4 knots. Natalie J is taking an inside track, just a little bit slower. My guess is, again, if we believe what we're showing here in the graphics, it's just a little less wind over here. Plus, if you notice, they're at a slightly different angle. These guys up here are probably a little faster because, I mean, yeah, look at Mockingbird, 14 knots. They're even faster than Maverick. Again, that probably has to do with they're able to carry a flying headsail that is really fast. If these guys, Heartbreaker and Natalie J, are not able to have that sail because they're at an angle closer to the wind, that just makes them a little slower. Now, what they do have going for them is that they're arguably a little closer to the rum line and have opted to position themselves so if something changes in the weather, they would be able to sail less distance than those out here. But we'll see in the next few hours. Yeah, so that's the leaders in the pack. That's what they're doing. I want to show you next a really clever tool. If you go down, in fact, I'll use my, oops. See, there's an example. It jumped on me, so I'm going to come back to the course area. But it's down here, this leaderboard tab. This is quite useful, and we'll show you, who's in the front in each of the different classes, and how they're doing. Now, remember, this is all based on some assumptions. The assumption is that they are going at the average speed of their last two skeds, 15 minutes apart, with a distance left to sail, and then it's doing the calculation to project their estimated finish time. So this shows, for example, the Mockingbird estimated to finish if they're going 8 knots, and they have 84 miles left to go. That puts them in a finishing time of about 4:58 this afternoon. A lot of assumptions in that, for sure. The reason they're up here is based on those finishing times. So the Wizard is 5:12, Heartbreaker 5:48, WindQuest, Natalie J, and so on. So, but these, again, they're estimates based on their current speeds, and that may change for reasons that we're going to see in a moment. The other cool tool is this one, where we can do class filters. So to unravel how this big cluster of boats is doing, we can turn off a lot of these, and then leave turned on a class that you're interested in. So wherever your favorite boat is, leave that class clicked on. Now I'm leaving this fleet overall on just to show how this cluster graphic will change. I'm going to zoom in one more level so we get a little more resolution. So Class H is the double-handed class. I'm tracking them. I want to see how they're doing, so I will be able to turn the fleet off, and that leaves just Class H out here. So this is a really useful tool, I think, to distill out of those 300 boats a handful of boats that you might be interested in, and see how your pals are doing within any class. The boat with a crown is Gale Force, is a first 36.7, Bob Duker's boat, and this one is reaching along, nice angle, 5.8 knots. That's not bad. Probably jib reaching. Maybe they're hanging on to a reaching spinnaker. But what's interesting is I don't know why. Well, actually, I'm sorry. This is Class H. This is the Beneteau 36.7 class. Sorry, this is not the double-handed class. My mistake. But look at the spread of philosophy here. So Alice Martin's Painkiller is way out here in the lake. I'm not quite sure what they're doing at that angle. Maybe they're setting up for a big end around that they're anticipating coming shortly. I don't know. But certainly at that angle, while their speed's not bad, 6 knots, they're really sailing away from from the course here. So we'll be interested to check in with those guys and see what their thinking is. They've got one other competitor out here with them, so we'll see what happens with them. But let's turn them off for the moment and go to double-handed. These guys are a little bit more consistent in their strategies, a wide range of positions due to their relative speed. So a Pearson 30, the blue moves taking up the rear, but this is not a very fast boat. They could still be doing well in corrected time, 4.7 knots. The class leader is Olson 34 American Flyer, Chris Cyril's boat, 5.7 knots. That's doing okay. In fact, they're doing well, according to the calculations, they're actually doing well, not just in double-handed, but it says first in Division Two overall. That's pretty darn good. So Chris Cyril, I know, has raced this course many times. He's quite knowledgeable. So we'll see. One guy that's doing this for the first time is out here is Mike Toby. He's got carbon fiber, custom built Nelson Merrick 40 from it was built about 25 years ago out in the western part of Michigan at Westies. It's quite a nice boat. It's new to Mike. He just got it this summer, but at 7.5 knots, that's good. That's good pace for that boat. That indicates to me as well that the amount of wind out here is good. It's probably 11, maybe 12 knots. It's not 15 for sure, or he'd be going much faster. But he told me yesterday morning that this is the first time he's raced this course. It's the first time he's raced this boat over here. So he's new to this, and he said he had therefore no preconceived notions on how to sail the course. So he was following his routing advice and going with that. That might account for him being out here a little further in the lake. If you remember yesterday's show, we showed that if you just followed software, it might drag you. The routing guidance was dragging you a little bit further out away from the rum line, whereas a lot of the locals, those that sail this race a lot, they stick pretty close. Now, let's see. Yeah, J88 McQueen, Justin Acker, they're in close. So we're going to be looking at these double-handed sailors. It's an interesting class. There's a wide variety of boats, and remember, just 2 people on board. So this is a interesting challenge for them. I'm going back to Fleet over. Well, actually, one more I want to point out is Class J. I'll turn them on. Turn off the double-handed guys. This also quite competitive class. The class leader out here is Fast Tango. That's a masthead, older design. It's actually a Bruce Carter design from the 1970s. But Tim Profit is quite a good sailor. He's the reigning champion in this class, and is going to be tough to beat. However, where's Eliminator? They're quite good as well, and on corrected time could definitely give them there's the Eliminator. This is Paul Van Tol and Bruce Vandevers, and they've done 40 of these races, they say, and they've won many of them. I think they said 20 or 21, something like that. So they know this lake very well. They know this course very well. They're going to be a team to watch for sure. I think, and then of course Paul's son Chris is one of the primary helmsmen on the boat. He told me yesterday, we're going to play this, take it as it comes. We do favor going along the shore, and that's again comes from years and years of experience. And they know how to get the most out of this CNC 35 Mark II. These guys have not only sailed here, they've sailed the Bermuda race, so they're quite experienced, and they're going to be fighting hard. Now, again, if you look at their angles here, they're opting to try to head in for some reason, and that's not a random reason. They're doing this intentionally. So let's do a scroll out and go back to Fleet overall. Excuse me, and show why that some of these teams are doing this positioning, and they're not just sailing up the run line, and that has to do with weather. So I'm up here in the scroll bar of where weather is at 12:30, so 6 hours from now. This is why. Look at what lies ahead. So this beautiful breeze that they're enjoying now, what I'm arguing is probably the best conditions of this race is early this morning, throughout the morning, nice northeasterly, sailing along, close reaching. It's probably just absolutely beautiful out there. That's going to change because as they get up in the lake, this breeze is going to die out. Look at this big hole up here. Let's see how that progresses later on. This should refresh here at 15:30, so that's later this afternoon. It's almost like this is a little low pressure trough. You can see wind that's or actually no, other way, high pressure ridge. So wind coming out of a ridge, and that doesn't look good. It's lying right over the run line. Now this could explain also if we believe the weather routing graphic that we saw last night, why some boats were routed to go a little bit up here to the north to get perhaps on the other side of this ridge, to just have some boat speed to keep going toward the finish. Now remember, our finish line is over here on Mackinac Island. They've got to go south of Beau Blanc. So this could get complicated later today. Let's look into early evening, see if that refreshes. Oops. Let's go there. And it really doesn't get better, does it? So it's going to be a tough. It's going to be tough later in the day, for all these teams, because that nice green, the nice green northeast breeze and reaching conditions is going to start to dissipate later today, unfortunately. And I don't even want to look into tomorrow yet. We'll do that in the next show. So this is what lies ahead for these guys. They're going to enjoy champagne sailing this morning, but starting around midday, I think it all could change. But again, this is weather. It's not always perfect. Maybe something will happen. It's quite possible, therefore, that people are positioning themselves to get along the shoreline in the hope that they might get some local thermals along here, because that does happen. We'll see. So that's what we have. And for this morning's show, my next show I want to try to do early this afternoon to just give you an update on where we are. So I thank you for tuning in. I'm Dobbs Davis, and we will thank you again for tuning into the show, and hopefully tune in with us later this afternoon. Thanks very much.